All right, welcome back to another episode of Trading Levels with the Lighten. In this episode, I'm going to focus on development and a pretty cool workflow I found that for developing NinjaTrader indicators and features using anti-gravity. So bear with me because I don't like editing, so I'm going to try to do this all in one take. And there may be some bumps along the road. So let's jump into it. So what I want to do is I have these indicators, obviously, the levels indicators that I use all the time. There's 5 different patterns, A, B, C, and D, that you see here. And I already have a MarketAnalyzer column for pattern A. But what I need to do is create the MarketAnalyzer columns for pattern B, C, D, and E. So in this video, I'm going to walk through the workflow I like that's super efficient for using anti-gravity with NinjaTrader. So you can do it for anything, but in this case, as an example, I'm going to be creating a MarketAnalyzer column out of an existing indicator. So let's jump into it. I'm also using my smaller monitor, so first things first, let's get this chart out of the way. And I guess maybe I should talk a little bit about what this. So this is an example of the 10-minute chart. What I do is I use the MarketAnalyzer columns. If I go into columns and I use the same indicator. So this is pattern A, but I set it for each of the higher time frame charts so that I can quickly, at a glance, look at the MarketAnalyzer, and it'll light up with either a long of medium C color or a short of magenta. It'll light up, and it's just easy to look at to tell me when there is an active signal on one of the higher time frame charts. So that's the rough idea of what we're going to accomplish. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll actually see a signal while we're developing this. So if I come over to, actually, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to edit my max 2 zones on this. Oops. I am going to, just for simplicity, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to use these regions. That way I can snap different windows like that. So this is our typical Documents NinjaTrader 8 folder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the bin and I'm going to copy. Oh, first things first. Yesterday I did a complete reinstall of NinjaTrader and I copied in only the indicators and tools that I actually want to use. So I was doing development in the past, my indicators folder would just be cluttered with a bunch of backups and versioning and all this other stuff. So what I did yesterday is I did a fresh install. If you watched my previous video on setting up my charts, you know that what I do is I create a backup folder called NinjaTrader 8 with the date. I go in and I rename the backup folder indicators to indicators old. Then I pin it to the quick access panel over here. Then I come back and I go to the new after a fresh install. I'm not going to go over in detail how to do an uninstall and install, but then I pin the new indicators folder and all the other folders that I want to use. Oops. I will pin those over here. That way I can quickly grab only the indicators that I want to use from the previous version into the new version. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple stuff. We're keeping our indicators folder nice and clean. So we're going to come over here. We're going to copy the custom folder and only the custom folder. We're going to go back out to documents. Oops. I'm going to make this a little bigger. I'm going to create a new folder called NinjaTrader. I already have this dev test over here. Actually, let's delete that one. That one's dead to me. Create a new folder called NinjaTrader dev. I'm going to call this one test. You can see I have a NinjaTrader dev. That's the format that I'm using, but I'm going to call this one test. And I'm going to paste my custom folder into this development folder here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Visual Studio 2022. And I'm going to say open a project. Oh, and I guess that does exist now. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select this project. So we're going to have, we're barely going to use Visual Studio 2022. But if you notice, if you build the solution, it does build. And this has all of my indicators that I just copied over. So this is operating off that temporary custom folder. So I'm going to minimize that for now. And I'm going to minimize this for now. And now what I want to do is open up the anti-gravity. Close that folder. And this is my current working one. What I want to do is come into the anti-gravity agent manager. If you have anti-gravity open to just the editor, you can just click this agent manager at the top here. Boom. Anyway, you come into the agent manager here and you say open workspace, open new workspace, and you select, go out and select dev test, and that'll populate the folder that you want to open. So you don't want to open just the custom folder, you want to open that parent level folder. And now from here, we have our NinjaTrader dev test folder. And what we want to do is we just want to start working, right? So we want to start creating our market analyzer. So I want to tell it, I already have an example market analyzer column here. So I'm going to scroll down to my market analyzer column, and I'm just going to drag that file over there. And then I'm going to drag the indicator that I want to use to create the new indicators. Where are you? There you are. Scroll down to the indicator that already has the plots that I'm going to use for the pattern B. Let's make this just a little bit bigger here. We'll come back to the agent in a minute. Here's the pattern B. I'm going to drag that over. So now it has context of those two files. And I'm going to type in something like, yeah, I mean, you could really type this however you want. It's natural language. But in this example, I'm going to use language like using the pattern A signal column version 2, this guy right here, this context, as a template. I want to create a new market analyzer column for pattern B using the indicator as the source. And I want to use, oops, that didn't work. I was going to copy that from a notepad, but we don't edit our videos, so I'm going to do this together. So here's the text that I want to use using Alighten MA Pattern A Signal Column version 2. As a template, I want to create a new MarketAnalyzer column for pattern B using the indicator pattern B. I want to use the exact same color styles as PatternA Column. And then I just click run. And it's going to first, I just always stay in planning mode. That seems to work for me. It's going to create the plan for implementing pattern B, and you can review the plan and make changes. If this was a more complicated indicator, you're going to spend probably a little bit more time going back and forth with it. But there is a trick to that too. But this plan looks pretty good. The goal is to create a MarketAnalyzer column using this as a template. A light and level multi-time frame indicator, proposed changes, pattern B, signal column V2. So it knows it already knows the name I want. Copying signal A, uses the class name, pattern B. Yep, so all this looks pretty straightforward. So let's implement that change. I'm going to say, let's create this MarketAnalyzer column with the name. It already knows that. The new column will have the same properties as pattern B. So I just wanted to just triple check, just that, not that I don't trust it, but I want to make sure it has all the same properties as the original pattern A, which is color, long color, short color, things like that. So let's go ahead and do it. And we'll let it think for a minute. And we can review the code. It's dark green because it's a change, right? And sure enough, it's perfect. And I really like anti-gravity because it's not as verbose as like, I don't know, OpenAI's stuff, as the 5.2 at least, would try to do a bunch of unnecessary stuff to your code. So I really like that. Let's accept the changes. So now we have this pattern B here. The next step is to go back to Visual Studio. And we know we can build from here. Oh, first thing we're going to need to do, though, is click on the Show All Files. And you'll see we have this pattern B signal here, but it's not part of the project yet. So we're going to right-click on it and say Include in Project. And then we're going to hit Build. Oh, Gate org pre-check. Oh, so in pattern B, there are two properties it looks like it might have missed. So let's just copy this error message and see what happens. Just say it looks like the pattern B column is missing two defaults. something like that. And then we'll copy in the error message. Let's see what it comes back with. So all we're going to use from now that we've added that file to the project, to the VS 2022 project, we're no longer going to need to use it. The only thing we're going to come in here and do is hit build and make sure we don't get errors. So there it goes. It found them. Looks exactly right. We accept those changes. We go back into Visual Studio, build. Now we get a good build. Cool. So now here's the part that I think really helps the overall workflow. So I go back into the agent manager and I ask it to create what's called like a workflow task. And you can word this however you want, but I just I wanted to be super clear that the bottom line is the task is going to be run on command, and it's going to copy whatever file you're working on in Antigravity over to your working NinjaTrader directory. Now you want to copy it. You want it to copy, if you're working on an indicator, you want it to copy to your indicators folder. So I've essentially given an example in the way I described it. I said, create a task that calls a PowerShell script file to copy only the file I'm working on. So you're not copying multiple files. In this case, alight and pattern B, and move it to the appropriate folder in the working NinjaTrader directory. Since I'm working on a MarketAnalyzer column, and I'm just very specific about the type of script that I want it to call. And then I hit go, and it should create the script for me. Let's see what it comes back with. Oh, first it's going to create an implementation plan. Cool. And it's going to create it in tasks. Perfect. Let's proceed. And we are going to give it, it's going to run this as our first test. So let's see what happens. If it doesn't succeed, it will edit the file and try again. So let's give it another try. And I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I just heard the NinjaTrader compile. Oh, good point. Probably should have mentioned at the beginning is you need to make sure you keep the NinjaScript editor open for this workflow so that you can auto compile as you copy files over. So we just compiled, and now if you see here, we've got our MarketAnalyzer pattern B signal column here, and it compiled within NinjaTrader. So we're good to go. So now whenever I make an edit to this file, going back over to here, let's say, for example, on these pre-check gates, let's say I wanted to set this to true. And I hit save there. Then I would come back over to here, hit build. It's going to build. Now I minimize that and I say, oops, I don't know if I ever like fully. accepted these guys. Cool, cool. So now I'm gonna, right from working on this file here, I can just say, wait, be nice if I could see the screen. I can just say, copy this file. It'll prompt me, done. I should wait to hear the, boom, there's the noise from NinjaTrader, the compile noise that we're all familiar with. Now if I go back into the NinjaTrader script editor, which I never have to use anymore, I should see this guy set to true. And there we go. So that's once you have it set up, the workflow is just that. Edit in Antigravity, build, accept the changes in Antigravity, build in VS 2022, then type copy this file, and that's it. That gives you the full power of Antigravity without having to deal with copying and pasting files, and gives you the ability to add context. Oh, one more thing I should mention on the subject of this particular, like when you're done with a project, this is the agent manager, too many windows. Coming back over here, the last thing I would do before I leave is I would say, create a skill. Based on the MarketAnalyzer column that we created, and my style, something like that. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a specific skill for a specific task. Now, every time you work on an indicator, you might do something cool that you like and you want to use again. After you're done working on that indicator, say, create a skill from, I don't know, let's say this particular type of plot, or plots in general. Or maybe you have your properties structured in a way that you just like the way it looks on you've got OCD like me, and you like the way properties are structured, ordered, and surrounded by a region. Well, you create a skill from that, and then the next time you're developing an indicator, it's going to know exactly what you want. So really like that feature, accept that skill. And that'll give you the complete workflow for anti-gravity to NinjaTrader. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was it made coding in NinjaTrader fun again. And it absolutely speeds up the development process. So come back next time. We'll be doing some more trading, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.